Warm greetings to all students of Kids Planet School. Dear students, we are all well aware of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic and the series of lockdown declared by the government to keep us all well protected. The lockdown has resulted in the shutdown of all educational institutions, and hence the management of Kids Planet School has decided to bring about a series of online lectures for various subjects on its YouTube channel to help with the academic progress of its students. I, Sheikh Tawfiq, will be a virtual teacher for history subject, and let us now begin with our first lesson. Historiography, Development in the West. Historical research, writing and studies are carried out with an objective of understanding the chronology of the past events and their interconnections. Chronology means sequence, the order in which all the things are arranged. Understanding the chronology means understanding the right sequence of the events which occurred in history. This is a continuous process. Understanding the chronology is important because all the things in history are interrelated. If we miss any one of them, we might get stumbled. For studying many of the aspects, the physical and natural empirical method is used, the method of observation and experiments in laboratory. But this method cannot be used to study history, as we were not present in historical time to observe an experiment. Neither can we recreate the historical event. As to say, for science, certain experiments can be done to prove something, but the same is not possible for history because we lack the following elements. We cannot create the same event which occurred in 1930s or 1940s in the present time. So it's a bit it's different from the actual science. In historical research, it may not be possible to use the method of laboratory experiments and observation. This is because we are not present in the historical time and space, and the historical events cannot be recreated, as I said. Also in history, it is not possible to formulate laws that remain true irrespective of the time and space, unlike other science and other experiments which are true for all the times. If we do the same experiment again and again and again, it doesn't change its output, but it is not true for history in the same sense, because different actions may give you different reactions. All the things are not the same in history, as to say. Let us now talk about the objectives of writing history. Why writing of history is very important. They are to put the past events in chronological order and analyze them, to put the events in the correct order and then to study and then to read them. That's why writing of history is important. Second one, to verify the authenticity of the collected documents, that is, to verify that the document collected or preserved is original and not a fake one. To investigate the truth. By studying the history or by writing history in a respective manner, we can study or investigate the truth of that time or that period. But writing history is not as easy as it sounds, because we have to collect different evidences and archaeological artifacts from different areas around the world. There are not any timeline to know which one is of where, so we have to conduct certain experiments to know that. So to write the history, we need an expert who knows the language and script of a historical document to read and understand its meaning. One who can identify, examine the authenticity, the period in which the writing and lettering style was prevalent. An expert who can identify the type of paper used for manufacturing date and the age in which it was used. He must also have the knowledge of stamps. Historians who can scrutinize various historical references. Scrutinize means to pay detailed attention into each and every part. It means to study the evidence of history in particular detail. Now we have learned why do we study history, why the writing of history is important. Now let us know how to study history. That means in what is the correct method to gather all the informations. So here are that methods. First one is critically examining of various sources of history. Means first we begin with what we have, that is we study the various sources or materials available to us of that time. For example, if we want to study the history of Shivaji Maharaj, we gather the information regarding him. That means the coins, swords, books and manuscripts of that period. We study them in detail. Second one is examining relevant references of the available historical information. We have to use the information already existing with us, means there are different books or different scripts which have already information about the Shivaji Maharaj. We have to cross check them, that whether it is coinciding or not, so that we can be sure that what we are researching or what we are discussing is of true. Collecting historical information, highlighting the process that lead to historical transitions, carrying out comparative analysis. Transition means changes. As you all know, the history depends upon different changes. For example, 15th August. Let's say 15th August is an important transition for India, because before 15th August, India was a dependent state. We were under the rule of British, but after 15th August, India became an independent nation. So transition means several changes. How the times were different before and how they are now. So we have to collect different information and highlight the process, that how we reached to certain conclusion. We have to give comparative analysis so that we can be sure that the result which we got out of it is of true nature. Understanding the references regarding time and space of given historical events and also various conceptual frameworks used in historical research method. It means using all the available information of that time to understand it, all the material sources that we can gather, for example coins or different materialistic things, buildings, monuments, temples, statues of the regarding time, of the same time period, whatever we can gather, we have to join the strings and we have to see if whether they match or not. If they are matching in a particular sequence, that means we are onto the right track. As we said, that history is not like legit science. We cannot experiment or prove the same thing again and again. So there are certain things which we have to assume. There are certain conceptual frameworks which we have to make. We have to imagine certain things. Formulating relevant questions in view of historical references. Whatever we are researching on, we have to make a certain we have to prepare a questionnaire so that we can ask ourselves that whether all the points have been included it or not. All the questions which we are finding the answers of, whether we have got it or not. So first we have to make the questions, then we have to start finding the answers for them. And the last one is formulating hypothesis. Hypothesis means imagining. As the events of history cannot be created again, we can only imagine about them. So we have to imagine few things to understand certain concept. Hypothesis is like talking to oneself. When we have certain doubts, we talk to ourselves that whether we should do it or not, what will happen if we do it, what will not happen, certain things. So hypothesis means questioning ourselves, our own mindset. There are different methods or schemes available which can help us to understand the historical research. For example, archaeology. Archaeology means the scientific study of past human life and culture. The other one is archival science. Archival means a place where historical records are kept, like archives that we studied in 9th standard. Manuscriptology. Manuscriptology means studying of manuscripts. Manuscripts are those written documents which have been written in the earlier times when books and other things were not available. People used to write on different materials, for example bark of the tree or stones and other things. That can be said as manuscript. Epigraphy means the study of inscriptions. Analysis of lettering style. Linguistics means the study of language, other different language that we can study of that period, whether they belong to that certain tribe or not. Numismatics means the study of coins, and the last, genealogy, means study of lineage. Lineage means the descendants of one individual. In simple words, we can describe lineage as the study of our ancestors. As to say, if we want to study about the Maratha Empire, so first we will start with studying the lineage. That means what was the origin of Maratha Empire? Who was the first Maratha that came into knowledge of the people? Who annexed the throne? The most powerful Maratha ruler which we know of, we can say, is Shivaji Maharaj. Okay, so there might be some rulers before Shivaji Maharaj. Yes, na Shahu Maharaj or any other who carried on the same origin. After Shivaji Maharaj, his genealogy includes the study of lineage. So these are the few things which help us in writing history. Let us now move on. Historical sources are critically examined and the past events are preserved in writing. The events which have taken place several years ago, the time when we were not there to observe it, have been proceeded down to us while writing or in oral form, so that we can learn from them. So historical past events are preserved in writing. The writing of critical historical narrative is known as history. Writing down those events or writing down or documenting those times is known as historiography. A scholar who writes such a narrative is a historian. The person who writes such things is termed as historian. But let's be practical. It is not possible for a person, it is not possible for a historian to write each and everything in detail. Yes, now we can say that he might leave some of the aspects, or the history is a vast thing. He might not consider various things. His perspective on those events depends on the conceptual framework he adopts. He decides the event which he thinks should reach the people. It is on to him, means historian. It is he who must decide that which event should he pass on and which he should leave. The tradition of writing historical narrative, that is historiography, was not prevalent in the ancient societies of the world. However, that does not mean that they were not aware of the historical time. Means the writing of history is a new concept. It was not there in the older times, like in prehistoric times or in ancient times, when languages and writing alphabets were not developed. That time there were no certain sources or medium to write things. But however, that does not mean that they were not aware of the historical time. Means the people there also were interested in knowing the history of their ancestors and passing their own events to the ongoing generations. Ancient people also felt the need of passing on the stories of their life and valor of their ancestors to the next generation. As I said, they want to pass their knowledge to the upcoming generation. Ancient communities all over the world used various means like cave paintings, storytelling, singing songs and ballads, etc. for this purpose. These traditional means are looked upon as a source of history in the modern historiography. As you all can see, there are many cave paintings at Bhimbetka, Ajanta and Ellora cave paintings, where there were paintings of certain prehistoric men killing animals like mammoth and dinosaurs were roaming here and there. There are all paintings. From that we can conclude their times, that what the people had to face in their daily life. Storytellings, the most famous of which is Mahabharata and Ramayana. These are two epic stories which have been passed on generations by generations by oral method. That time when writing process was not developed, these stories have been passed on to generation and generation, and in near future they wrote it. Someone wrote it in a piece of paper or a book, something manuscript like. Singing songs, I think the most common example would be the Happy Birthday song. This is the same song which you will recognize all over the world. If you sing this thing anywhere, any place, in any nation, I am certain that they would believe it, or sorry, they would understand it. So these are some examples, like how the things can be passed on, moved on to different peoples, how the information or how the events or whatever information we want to pass, we can pass it on orally or by writing purpose. Like given here in this picture, we can see, what is this? The earliest inscription in the Louvre Museum, a museum named Louvre, where this inscription has been kept. The above picture shows a fragment of the earliest inscription, a forward marching file of soldiers holding shields and spears is seen here. The general is in the front. So as you can see, this is a picture of an army. The soldiers are standing here with spears and shields in their hand, and their general, means their leader, is leading the way. So this story we can understand by seeing this manuscript, or sorry, seeing this inscription written on a piece of rock, I think. The tradition of recording historical event can be tracked back to Sumer civilization in Mesopotamia. Names of Sumerian kings and the stories of battles fought by them have been preserved in various inscriptions. The earliest inscription shown above dates back to 4500 BCE. It records a battle fought between two kingdoms. It is now displayed at the Louvre Museum in France. So till now we have seen what is historiography. The person who writes history is known as historian. What are the objectives of historiography, of writing history I mean, and what are the different methods which can be used for writing history. Now let us see the four main characteristics of modern historiography. The first characteristics is its method, means the method of modern historiography is based on scientific principles. It begins with the formation of relevant questions, as we discussed earlier. Before starting the writing of history, or before starting creating any event, first we write the few questions, we prepare a questionnaire, that what are the things which we need answers of. These questions are anthropocentric. It means that these questions are about the deeds of the members of the ancient human society. Anthropocentric means that the questions are about the deeds of members of human society, means interpreting the world in the terms of human values and experiences. It means to observe the world not on the profit and loss thing, but what humans have done in that period of time. It means it's like quality and quantity type of thing. We don't think about the quantity, we will only focus on the quality aspect. So these questions, the questions which we are making for writing the history, this question should be anthropocentric, means they should be clearly discussing about the deeds of the ancient members. History does not suggest any interrelation between the divine and human deeds. That means the deeds which have been done by certain community or by certain people, that does not define the religion of that time or the gods and beliefs, so that we do not hurt any beliefs of a certain tribe or certain peoples. So that's why divine thing and human deeds are kept separated. Third one is, answers to these questions are supported by reliable evidence. The questions which we asked earlier to ourselves, defining upon certain event. So the answers to these questions are supported by reliable evidence. It means there should be definite evidence to support your belief or support your answer. Otherwise, it will be a waste of time. History presents a graph of mankind's journey with the help of past human deeds. Seeing history or seeing the timeline, seeing a period is like watching a graph of mankind's journey, like what we were before in the ancient times, what things we have gone through, what changes it has brought in our life, all the ups and downs which we have faced, so that we can get a knowledge about what things we should do in future for our advancement, and what are the mistakes that we should not follow, which our ancestors have done, that mistakes we have to avoid. It is also said that the modern historiography with above characteristics has its roots in the ancient history Ancient Greek historical writings. History is originally a Greek term. Herodotus, a Greek historian of the 5th century BCE, used it first for his book entitled The Histories. That means the history which we are learning now, or the modern methods which we are using for writing historiography, have all started from Greek history. Let us now talk about certain scholars, notable scholars, those who have made a valuable contribution to writing history. Some of them are, the first one is René Descartes. René Descartes was the foremost among the scholars who insisted on verifying the reliability of historical documents by critically examining them. As I have already said earlier in the lecture when we were discussing the methods, that history is not like exact science. There are certain things which we have to assume or pretend or imagine. But René Descartes was against those beliefs. He believed that first we have to examine the evidence in its full capability. Okay, when we are sure that this evidence is fully verified, so then only we can start writing or researching on that thing. Among the rules given by him in his book Discourse on the Method by following is supposed to have a great impact on the scientific method of research. It's his saying that never to accept anything for true till all grounds of doubt are excluded, which means if you have 1%, even a bit percent of a doubt in your mind that the certain things can be false or might have other side, then we cannot accept it as true. For writing the history, we have to clear all our doubts first. Then only we can say that the following thing is 110% correct, and we can include it in history. Second such scholar is Voltaire. Voltaire's original name was Francis Marie Araut. He was French. He opined that in historiography, the focus should not be only on objective truth or chronology of historical events. Prevalent social traditions, trade, economy, agriculture should also be considered as an important part of it. Understanding all the aspects of human life is important for history writing. He is also known as the father of modern historiography. Voltaire was a person who believed that to know the exact truth or to study the events of history, it is not just important to study the timeline or the chronology, how the events occur one after other. He believed that history is a kind of living thing. Means to understand the history, we have to understand the people in it, the people, trade, economic, how their social life was. So once we understand the social traditions of that time, then we can understand the history of that time. His thoughts inspired French Revolution. Based on Voltaire's thoughts and Voltaire's writing, French Revolution was many things have been based about French Revolution regarding to Voltaire. The third scholar is George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. Hegel was a German philosopher. He insisted that the historical reality should be presented in a logical manner. To him, the timeline of historical events was indicative of progress. He assumed that over a period of time, the presentation of history will definitely change as new evidences will come forth, which is certainly true, that after time to time, as the technology will increase, we will certainly find new evidence which will lead to different possibilities. So Hegel formed his theory on this belief. In order to understand true nature of a thing, one needs to know both the sides, that is true and false, or good or bad. This method of analysis, which is based on opposites, is known as dialectics. Dialectics is a method in which to conclude or to say if a certain thing is true or not, we have to discuss both its aspects, means the merits of it and also the demerits. A theory is proposed at the beginning called thesis. Then another contrary theory called antithesis is proposed. For example, if I want to write a book on let us take the Maurya period. Okay, So first I will write my views on it, what I think of Maurya period. Okay, that will form the thesis part, and there will be certain other scholars or certain other people who will deny my belief that some of the things which I am saying or assuming is wrong. It is also correct because I have not seen that time. Okay, I am just assuming few of the things, so I might be wrong. So that all things are considered as antithesis. Okay, then we find a middle way. Finally, after thorough discussion on both, a new thesis having a gist of both is reached, called synthesis. Synthesis is something more reliable. It means it has some of the points from thesis and few of the contrary points from antithesis. So after we have reached our conclusion, okay, that 110% this thing is correct, that is called synthesis. The collection of his lectures and articles is published in a book entitled Encyclopedia of Philosophical Sciences. His book Reason in History is well known. So after Hegel, our next scholar is Leopold von Ranke. Historiography of the 19th century was greatly influenced by the thoughts of Leopold von Ranke of Berlin University. He spoke about the critical method of historical research. He put emphasis on the utmost importance of information gathered through original documents. He also stated that all types of documents associated with a historical event need to be examined with greatest care. As most of the scholars believe, he is also of the same thinking that while writing the history or before writing the history, all the evidences should be thoroughly revised, that whether they are fake or not. If we are 110% sure that it's authentic, then only we have to believe the following information which comes from it. So for that purpose we need a historian. As I said earlier, a historian is a person who has detailed knowledge about all the linguistics and all the symbols or inscription of that time. So with that we can conclude that the following source which we are using to write the history is authentic or not. He believed that with this method it was possible to reach the historical truth. He criticized imaginative narration of history. Contrary to our earlier brief, like I said, in the history there are certain times in where we have to. So unlike others, Leopold von Ranke's belief was like we should not imagine certain things before writing history. Collection of his articles is published in 2 books entitled The Theory and Practice of History and The Secret of World History. The next of our scholar is Karl Marx, a well-known name. We all might have heard of it because Karl Marx was the person who gave us class theory. His theory is somewhat like in every particular society, I mean in the world, in every society, there are 2 kinds of peoples, the haves and the have-nots. Haves are those people or those group of people, those who hold the production line, means they have all the things, all the resources are in their hand, and the have-nots are the middle class or lower class people who have to struggle for anything in their life. So in the later half of the 19th century, let's take 1950, a new school of thought arose keeping in view the new thesis formulated by Karl Marx. According to Karl Marx, history was not about abstract ideas, it was about living people, human relationships, and the human relationships are shaped by the fundamental needs of people and the ownership as well as nature of prevalent means of production to meet those needs. As I said earlier, human relationships are based on certain needs. We people have certain demands and certain needs which we have to fulfill. Okay, and for fulfilling that needs we need production, means resources. The resources are held by certain group. Let's say for example the powerful person who has money or resources are held by them. As we can see in today's world also, there are certain powerful countries or superpower countries, developed countries. So the smaller countries have to depend on them for all the things and for all their needs. The accessibility of these means to different strata of society may not be equal. So all the productions and all the resources in the world cannot be distributed equally. So there are certain class or certain peoples, those who get the most of it, and certain class which are deprived of the resources. which gives rise to a division of society into classes, leading to class struggle. According to Marx, human history is the history of class struggle, as a class that owns the means of production economically exploits the rest of the classes. It means the ones who are powerful, they exploit the ones who don't have power. It means the rich will exploit the poor, the strong ones will exploit the weak, so and so. Das Kapital, a treatise written by him, is the most referred book all over the world. So our last and the least scholar, which was Michel Foucault, the French historian of the 20th century. Michel Foucault brought forth a new concept in historiography. He, in his book Archaeology of Knowledge, argued that the prevailing practice of arranging historical events in a chronological order is not right, which was a very bold step to say, because all the other historians believe that chronology has a great importance in writing history. As we discussed earlier also, that history is like a graph. History provides us a graph of mankind, that what we were in the ancient times, in the earlier times, and what we are now. So it gives us a graph. But according to Michel Foucault, only focusing on the chronology is not important. We have to focus on the main aspects, on the events which are happening over the world. That is more reliable and that is more important. According to him, the objective of archaeology is not to reach ultimate historical truth. He acknowledged that subjects such as science of medicine, psychological disorders, prison administration are valid for historical analysis. As Voltaire said, for understanding the history, we have to understand the society and the problems related to society. Certainly, somewhat like that, Foucault thinking was that to study the history, we have to study this different strata of science, means psychological disorder, science of medicine, prison administration. What were their times? What were the problems which have been faced by these peoples? By understanding this, only we can understand the true history of that period. Development of scientific perspective in Europe and historiography, our last theme for the chapter. So in this we will study the time when the scientific perspective, means people actually began to use science for their day-to-day life, or means the science started developing in that time. Till the 18th century CE, Europe had achieved a remarkable progress in the fields of philosophy and science. Scholars by then had come to believe in the possibility of studying the social and historical truths by applying scientific method. Now the philosophical discussions focused more and more on objectivity in history and historiography. After that, discussions were focused on objectivity in history and historiography. Rather than believing anything for superstition or blindly trusting anyone, the people were more focused on history, that what history has to say or what scholars have to say, what different historians have to say. They were given extreme importance in those times. History gained importance over philosophical discourses and divine phenomena. Means in the previous times where divine phenomena, means related to gods and churches and all, were given the importance, the following importance have been given to the historians. In 1737 CE, the Göttingen University was founded in Germany. It had an independent department of history. So you can only imagine, till this time, history became so famous that the university had given a separate branch, a separate independent department only for history. Later, German universities became centers of historical studies. So later on, Germany became the center of history, means all the writing part of history and all the historical discoveries became more and more unrevealing in Germany. Later that time came analyst school. At the dawn of the 20th century, means when the 20th century began to end, a new school of historiography arose in France known as analyst school. An idea was put forward that history is not just about political events, kings, great leaders, wars, politics and diplomacy. It is also about climate, local people, agriculture, trade, technology, means of communication, and etc. The French historians were the pioneers of the analyst schools. The thinking of analyst school, or the way of the mindset of analyst school, we can say, was related to French historians. The French historians gave a new perspective to the people or to the country, that historiography does not mean only politics and wars and leaders and diplomacy and their lives. It does not revolve around them. It is also based on technology, trade, and also social lives, communication, what people are facing nowadays. That all things give rise to historiography, means that things plays a great role in writing history. After this we are only left with the last thing, that is to study feminist historiography, means historiography related to feminism or women in general. Feminist historiography means the restructuring of history from the perspective of women. As we can see, all the notable scholars which we have learned just now are all men. Yes, na? So we have studied the history only relating to male perspective. We have seen only their point of view, but it is also important to learn the women's point of view, what they think of development, what was according to them the belief or things which changed their worlds drastically. So to put forward the women's way of perspective, feminist historiographies have started been come to order. The writings of Simone de Beauvoir helped in establishing the fundamentals of feminism. She was French. A feminist historiography emphasized not only on the inclusion of women in history, but also on the rethinking of male-dominated perspective of history. This thing does not only believe that what problems or things women believes. It also considered as how would be the world, means what all changes would have been done if the women were in charge. You understanding? If the power was in the hand of some woman, what all things would be different, how things would work in a different way if men was not but women was in charge. It drove historical research to focus in depth on various aspects of women's lives, such as their employment, their role in trade, union, institutions working for their cause, their family life, etc. In historical writings after 1990, women were portrayed as an independent social class. Only after 1990, after writing the historical history in the way of women have been portrayed, or women have been depicted as independent social class, means the one who are not who are not dependent on male. Before that, woman was considered as an object, means male was the sole owner or the power of the house. So what male says or what men think should have been treated as right in the following society. So there were no rights and powers given to women. So only after historiography, only after women came to know that there are certain things that can be changed, there are certain things that can be improved if the power was in the hands of women. Then they started. If you have any doubts or queries, contact us on 9619768527. Your doubts will be solved individually by our online team. Thank you for watching this video. Stay home, stay safe.